Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We've got, some stuff to practice together today. Uh, have a blanket, maybe have a block or two. You might use them, you might not. But we will start in a standing position today. And for today's session, we will be focusing on, well, stuff that we do pretty much every session, even though I might not talk about it. But every session we're working on regulating our nervous system, right? First and foremost. And we're working on toning our vagus nerves, which of course we do with the breath. And just by the way, scientifically speaking, yoga is the #1 proven method to tone your vagus nerve. Isn't that cool? I think it is. Am I surprised? No, not at all. Scientists have been trying to figure out yoga forever, and still they're spending so much time doing all these studies of stuff that humans already know work, because, well, we've been doing it for long before science started analyzing it, right? But at the same time, that's like before the word science existed. Humans were still intelligent in the past. And that's something I think we need to remember too. Just because certain languaging or like equipment didn't exist doesn't mean that humans weren't still analyzing their experience of life and the life that surrounds them. Of course they were. Anyone that's looked a little bit into history beyond the 19 and 1800s knows this. Humans are incredibly intelligent, and the system of yoga is no different. Remember, yoga is a science of life. It has its sister science of Ayurvedic medicine. And this is an all-encompassing practice when we learn about all of the other components, which of course, if you really want to learn about more stuff in yoga, then you should be doing yoga school, because it is the way to up your practice. You can obviously stay in my yoga tribe and continue practicing the asana and some of the lighter meditations and breath work and all of that. But if you really want to get into the juiciness of yoga, then yoga school is definitely the way to do it. And you still do classes. We still do lots of asana stuff. We just delve into the information on a deeper level so that you can understand yourself from the inside out even more. So with that, we are going to revisit one of my favorites, and that's the Kundalini Shakedown. So we'll do our Kundalini Shakedown, and then we'll do some movement on our mats. And leave feeling beautifully refreshed. So let's get into it, shall we? So we're standing, your feet, let's bring the feet about shoulder width apart. So you have a little bit more space here. Your arms are just relaxed by your sides, and just look from side to side. So this movement is really easy. However, if you've got a lot of generalized tension in your body, or if you are in a fight, flight, freeze, fawn response, you are going to notice you've got tension in your neck and in your shoulders just from this simple movement. So just keep going. And now we have options. So keep going at this slow pace. If it feels available to you, and you of course can change your mind at any time, but maybe you can go faster. So you're shaking your head more rigorously. You'll feel the looseness of your cheeks. You might hear some little crunches in the skull. Try to smooth stuff out. And again, you could go slower. There's no need to go fast. Just find the place that works for you. Another couple breath cycles in and out. This is great for stimulating pineal and pituitary glands. Whether you're going fast or slow, it still works. If you were going fast, slow it down. We'll all come into center through stillness and just pause. Blink open the eyes. We'll bring our arms out in front, palms face one another, hands are shoulder width apart. And now we're just shaking the wrists. So notice my arms stay relatively straight the whole time, and the arms are strong. And notice my shoulders aren't moving, just the wrists are moving. And this reverberates energy from the hands all the way into the shoulders and the traps and the neck, around the ribs, around the lungs, around the heart. So this again now starts to stimulate our vagus and dorsal vagus nerves. And your breath, just let the breath breathe through you. So if you feel that you've got some big exhales, let them go. Big inhales, let them in. Just breathe naturally without trying to control it. Your arms are gonna get tired. You might like a little sway side to side here. Sometimes I like that. And remember, this is hitting into tension that could have been hanging around for years and years and years. So it's probably gonna feel a little tense. We're almost there. Breathe in, breathe out. One more in, and slowly just release, relax your arms down and just pause here. Beautiful. Make fists with your hands, feet still about shoulder width apart. And now we're twisting. So we twist, empty sleeves. So let your arms be nice and heavy. And we make fists so we can do a gentle knocking on the body. Breathe in, breathe out. In Qigong practice, this movement is often called knocking on heaven's door because we end up knocking around the areas of the kidneys. And the kidneys, of course, are the pathway to, or one of the pathways to cleansing out the gunk of our body. So this does help to stimulate that processing and our awareness just generally of our kidney area and any tension, of course, that may be blocked up in the hips or anywhere along this line of the body. And you could go a little deeper, maybe swing your arms a little bit more intensely, but at no point should it feel like you're hurting yourself. Like you're not leaving bruises from these marks. That's not the goal. Again, breath is just nice and easy. Beautiful. And then just nice and easy, come back to stillness. Breathe in and out. Beautiful. All right, so this next bit is to work awareness in the hips, but also in the legs. So we're coming down into a squat. Your heels will be lifted up and your fingertips are on the mat. So notice my knees are wide now. Your heels could be together here. They don't have to be, but if you want to work that, it will be a bit more challenging and you can do it. So fingertips on the mat, we inhale, heels stay up, and we lift the hips. So don't worry about your feet pivoting in to make the movement easier, just do what's easiest. And then exhale, the hips come down. Inhale up and down, and up and down, up and down. Keep going. Keep your fingertips touching the mat, not your palms. We're doing this to stimulate the brain. And also, of course, work out tension through the front and the back of the body. But this helps us stay connected to our pituitary and pineal glands. And of course, because we gather so much information through our skin and through our fingertips, we're helping the brain process what we're doing as well. So breathe in, breathe out. We're just doing this a little bit longer, not the full round that we would normally do in a Kundalini practice. Beautiful. Stay with it. You might find some shakes, you might build some heat. This is a good thing. Fabulous. 3 more up and down, up and down, and up, and all the way down. Beautiful. Now we get to sit down on our bum. Hang out for a sec. Breathe in, breathe out. All right. So that can bring the heart rate up a little bit, and that's okay. That's a good thing. We want to make sure we're getting the work done. Forearms come down to the mat behind you. So you want to be comfortable here. You can have your hands down behind you if that's more comfortable for you for this. Really just pick the thing that makes it feel easiest for you. Feet float up. And then from here, just imagine like you could let go of all of the tension in your body that's been holding you back, of all of the gunk, of the trauma, of whatever you need to let go of. Imagine you could let go of it now and kick your feet. So just kick them, kick them, kick them. If you feel like kind of spazzy or like your muscles seize up, just move the legs the other way and then go back to kicking. You could even visualize like you have a fire in front of you and you're kicking all that old gunk into the fire and letting it burn away. But no, as you release stuff in your body, you're creating space. So what are you going to fill it with? Are you going to fill it back up with BS and ego-focused garbage? Or are you going to allow space to be there so that you can listen to the wisdom of your soul, listen to the wisdom of your body, and honor a space of being at peace and of simply being? Keep kicking, lift your heart, breathe in and breathe out. Beautiful. Come all the way to stillness. Let the feet come down, scooch your hips down so your upper body can come all the way down. Keep your knees bent and feet placed on the mat, but let your arms open up wide. Breathe in and breathe out here. Notice your body start to slow down. And nice and easy, bring your knees to your chest. Your arms are out wide like a T, palms up or down, whatever feels most comfortable for you right now. Toes reach up to the ceiling. And let's point the toes and stay strong through the legs. And to the right, just draw little circles with your feet. Notice the shifts in your breathing. Likely you have some really nice deep inhales and exhales moving through. You might have some little shakes and twitches as certain areas of your nervous system wake up again, switch directions. So if we've had certain areas of our body, effectively turned off for potentially years or even decades, you're gonna notice some sensation as these areas wake up again. So you might notice the little roaming ripples through your body. Allow it to be. Can you be in a space where your mindset is simply curious, but not stressed? Can you trust the intelligence of your body, and can you honor the wisdom of your soul? Those are real questions to check in with. And come all the way to stillness. Beautiful. Slide your hands, palms face down, underneath just the outer hips. You can go further underneath if you need more support, you'll decide. Shoulder blades are as flat as they can be underneath you. Point your toes, legs are strong, and then lower the legs to 2 inches hovering and float your head up and just look at your toes. Now keep your head up, float the legs to the ceiling, and then back down, 2 inches hovering, and up, and down, and up, and down. Keep going. Keep your toes pointed and your legs strong. Hopefully you start to feel some little shakes through the body. That's what we're going for. It does not mean you're weak. It means you're doing it correctly. This is not about how many reps you can get in. It's about doing the movement consciously and correctly. Stay with your breath. Notice the heat in your body start to build. Stay with your form, we're almost there. Remember, take breaks whenever you need. Stay steady with your breathing. Remember, shakes are not necessarily a bad thing. Generally, they're not a bad thing at all. So embrace what's moving through your body. And then nice and easy, hover the feet and lower them down. Release your hands, your head comes down. Once again, open your arms wide, palms face up. Open your feet wider than your mat. You're a big starfish on the beach. Breathe in, breathe out. Now, this practice, though it's simple, this is a very deep practice that can release tension that's been hidden for a very long time. So you may feel little bits of nausea move through. You may feel like, intense shifts in body temperature. Be where you can be. And slowly bring your legs together. And just your right knee pulls into your chest. Give yourself a hug. The breath moves naturally. And just as another side note here, breathing tones your vagus nerve. We breathe all day, every day. So why is there such a focus on breath work? Because most people breathe incorrectly. Most people, and I know you all already know this, but most people breathe up into their chest, which is not optimal at all, and often induces a state of panic or anxiety or fear. In yoga, in somatics, in dorsal vagus toning and vagus toning, we breathe into the belly more, which means we're directing the breath into the lower areas of our lungs. And that also means we're bringing the breath in to find displacement through the body, through the work of the diaphragm and the abdomen. So as the lungs fill with breath, it moves our other organs around. to create space for the breath, right? So the diaphragm does its work, and that's why the belly expands. So this is what we want to work with our breath here. And on the exhale, the belly pulls in. In the beginning stages, it can feel quite exaggerated, especially if you've been breathing incorrectly for a long time. But eventually it becomes completely natural, and you understand why every child you look at, for example, breathes in that exact way. If you look at a kid that was just out running around or whatever and they're breathing heavy, their belly will be moving a lot. Straighten your right leg all the way down and then switch to your left leg. Bring your left leg in. And there's so much hype these days on like doing these different breathwork courses and all of this, and that's fabulous. Breathwork is amazing. And if you want to sit and do some intense breathwork sessions, of course, well, we have that whole section on Kundalini, or you can dive into yoga school. You can do the Wim Hof techniques. There's lots of ways through it, but I'd highly suggest having a guide, because if you go and do a whole ton of breath work, you are going to stimulate your nervous system in ways that likely you didn't realize were possible. And you can also embark on psychedelic experiences with your breath work. So if that at all would be uncomfortable or new for you, definitely work with someone you know and trust to do breath work over longer periods of time. And also, breath work is something that beginners can do, but with guidance. So make sure you're doing it here with me. You can always reach out to me through Messenger or leave comments in the comment section. I know you already know, but definitely make sure that you have some guidance along the way. And gently release the left leg. Beautiful. Now we're turning onto our right side, and our right arm is just extending overhead so we can use the right arm as a pillow. And let the knees bend. And we're bringing our left fingertips onto the mat ahead of us. We've done this lots in our somatic classes. So fingertips are on the mat, and we're just rocking ourselves back and forward. So we're just getting a rocking sensation on the outer side of the right ribs and armpit and lat area. Now, just because I brought up the traditional Chinese medicine or Qigong reference earlier, this pathway here is the pathway to the heart. So we could be potentially opening all kinds of gunk from the past here, which is of course why this is a process, and we're not going to alleviate all of our tension in a day or 7 days or 30 days or even a year necessarily, but we will certainly move through a substantial portion if we continue on with our practice and trust the process. Usually when we start a new practice or process of self-regulation, whether that be breath work, yoga, meditation, like whatever, a mix of all of them, usually we'll start to get a little impatient at around the 10 to 2 week mark and think, oh, this is doing nothing for me. And just know that when those moments come up, those are the exact moments of the ego facing the soul. The soul already knows you're doing the work and you just need to keep going. But the ego tries to come in and say, oh, but you could be doing all this other stuff. You could try this and that. And you know why? Because it takes you off track of healing, and it takes you off track of listening to your soul more deeply, and it puts you right back on track into the dramatic cycles associated with living life through the ego. So trust the process. And now I know most of you have been here for years practicing with me. And I hope that you'll still be here for many years to come, because this is an ongoing practice, and this is simply about learning how to live with our bodies and honor the wisdom of our soul. So of course the goal is going to be to live through that for as long as we're alive. Because why would we ever want to get tied up in the drama of the ego after we've done so much work to untangle ourselves?
Why would we want to go back to old programming when we took so much time to open the mind and to let go of those old conditions? Enjoy the new conditions you are creating for yourself. And know that they do look very different than most people, because most people are living in states of chronic trauma and stress. That's what we're moving away from. Do not look to the norm for inspiration. It's not where you're going to find it. And nice and easy, come all the way to stillness and just rest here for a moment. And turn to the other side. I'm just gonna flip all the way around so I can keep facing you, but very simply just turn over onto your other side. Left arm is extended out like a pillow. Knees are bent just so you can stay comfortable here. Right fingers are on the mat. And then we start that gentle rocking. And when the ego comes up, because it will, really just learn how to communicate with it. Because the ego will try to put you down. Like, for example, let's say the ego comes up while doing this practice. Oh, why am I doing this? I'm just laying on the floor and like rocking back and forth. This is so stupid. Like, this is doing nothing, blah, 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 blah. Like, the ego is going to say stuff like that. This is a waste of time. I could be putting my laundry away. I could be out for a walk, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so all that stuff comes up, whatever it is. So you can say to your own ego, yes, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm rocking from side to side. And you know why? It's so I can unlock all of the deep-seated tension and trauma that you, ego, have continued to hide in my body and made it feel like it was okay to do so, and has then resulted in me being in a situation where I am chronically stressed, fatigued, and dysfunctional in my digestion, in my body, in my mind. So yes, ego, we're going to rock here until I feel better and until I feel regulated and until you, ego, are quietly in the background and no longer telling me what to do. And just watch your ego sit back and shut the F up. Breathe in and breathe out. And again, if you've done yoga school, you know lots of my references about the ego and how to talk to it in all kinds of playful ways to keep the ego in its place. You want to talk about Christ consciousness? We won't get too deeply into it, but I'll give you a hint. The process of Christ consciousness is through the body, and it's all mapped out in the biology of the brain, in the structures of the brain, and in the way that we honor what? The nervous system and the wisdom that comes through our soul. But that is for a whole other sequence to get into. Just another little tidbit to consider. And come all the way to stillness, resting here. Now turn onto your back. Make sure your neck feels long and your shoulder blades feel flat. Then just rock your head side to side.
And come to stillness. And reach to grab either your block or your bolster, whichever you've got. And then place either your block or your bolster across your belly. I'm gonna use my bolster today because it's a little bit heavier, but you use either one, and it doesn't need to be super heavy at all. So you know the belly burrito thing we do, right? We lay on the ground and we have a blanket under our stomach so we get that feedback. So this is another way to get the feedback for your breath, but it's even more gentle. So you could have your arms just out to the sides and just breathe in and out of the belly. And you can play with the placement a bit. Overall, we want to just feel some resistance as we expand on our inhales. And on the exhales, we just feel the belly pull in that tiny bit more from the weight that's there. So this practice in itself can help us train ourselves on how to breathe better, because we become very aware of all the sensations and the points of contact between the weight, the bolster or the block, and the abdomen, the place you're breathing into. So each inhale from your inside view, your internal point of view, you're paying attention to how all the spaces of your stomach come up to meet the bolster or the block. And then as you exhale, you notice how the block or the bolster comes down to then meet all the places of your stomach. So you're meeting this prop in space with and playing with force and resistance to improve your breathing mechanics. So now if you did have your bolster, you could stack your block on top. And just see how that feels. Good. Now, you can stay with whatever setup you've got happening on your abdomen. You might need to kind of adjust your arms just to make sure that the stuff doesn't move. So you might kind of hold your bolster or block in place. Because now we're bringing the inner edges of the feet together and opening the knees nice and wide. Okay, everybody's favorite somatic practice. Let the knees open. And then pressing the inner edges of the feet together, lift the knees just a couple inches and let the shakes begin. This is why we have the hands here for our bolster and block, because, well, you never know. Sometimes the legs can go pretty wild and we don't want to shake the stuff off of us or have our block fly into our face or something. So just let the legs shake here. And we're doing this in a fairly controlled way, so we won't be here as long as we often are in some of the other somatic practices. Focus on the breath. Good. And then consciously bring your legs to stillness and bring them 2 inches closer together, and then see if the shaking starts again. Let it happen. Your breath is just slow and deep. So we're getting, of course, all of the beautiful effects here of the movement of the legs and the secondary rocking of the pelvis that happens from it. And we're getting the feedback through our breath. So this is a bit more of an advanced somatic type practice. This is not something you're going to do right in the beginning, but this is something that you can do once you've had a solid amount of practice in your somatics. And in that sense, you know, if you're doing a complete somatic reset, then this practice you can start incorporating, I would say around day 12 or day 14. It might be a little later depending on how you're feeling, but around day 10, generally speaking, will be good. If you have experienced really long-term trauma, of course, send me a message if you're not sure if it's right for you to start this yet. But by this point, if you're just considering it now, just finish it out and don't even stress about it. Just stay with it, because you are indeed doing all kinds of wonderful work for your nervous system. And now consciously stop your legs again and pull them another 2 inches closer, and see if the shakes then start again. And try to keep the knees not dropping toward the ground, so move in a smaller plane of motion here. Breathe in, breathe out. Good. So this gentle sensation of rocking that does happen on the sacral area, as you'll notice, it happens just naturally as you move the legs. That is also a really big component of what helps our nervous system feel safe. So now from here, just stop your legs completely, let them open, and then bring the legs all the way together, planting the feet on the mat. Heel toe your feet as wide as the mat, and just let your knees fall toward each other. Just breathe in and breathe out here. And as you know from previous videos, that rocking sensation that happens on the back of your hips is such an important component to your healing process, because rocking is what helps us feel nurtured and nourished. And it's one of the most natural, primal, instinctual ways we know how to regulate ourselves and others. That's why in deep bouts of grief or depression, you'll find yourself rocking forward and back in any kind of position, or side to side. That's why we rock babies. That's why when we embrace someone, we rock side to side if they're really upset. And the other component that is helpful in regulating our nervous system is compression. So feeling weight on our body. Take a moment and slowly release your props. So feeling the pressure of someone, even just someone like laying on you or having a weighted blanket, can be extremely therapeutic when it's controlled. If it's erratic, it's going to re-traumatize your body, and it's going to put your nervous system in a state of, well, trying to protect itself again. But controlled compression is really effective as well. So let's work that. Right knee into chest, left leg lengthens long. This is controlled compression. So pull your right knee deep in toward you. And then on your exhale, head and shoulders float off the mat. So this again is deep compression. You can hug your arms around your leg. This is also helping you tone the vagus nerve, but it's also giving you a gentle massage through the organs and the digestive system. It's helping your hip flexors get a bit of compression as well. Your head and shoulders stay lifted so we get some spinal extension here.
And slowly, head and shoulders release down on an exhale, and right leg lengthens down. And that's why yin yoga is such a wonderful component to a somatic type practice, or any practice for that matter. Bring the left knee in. And that's because yin yoga is focused on compression. We're compressing the joints, we're compressing the muscles. You could float your head and shoulders up, wrap your arms around left leg if available. Just find the spot where you can hang out, but you're in a nice tight squeeze. And that's why, hugs are so important, and feeling really nice, tight hugs from people that we love. But again, if it's a hug of aggression, or if it's a hug from someone that you can't trust, or from someone that you're being abused by, it does not have the same effect. And that's why a self practice like yoga is so effective, because it helps us tune in to our own ability to trust ourselves, because that has to come before we can honestly trust another person. Head and shoulders slowly release down. Left leg relaxes all the way down. Arms relax out to the sides. We breathe in and breathe out. Flick the feet forward and back so your whole body gets that rocking sensation. And this practice in itself, like, you could do this rocking in your bed, you could do it anytime you have space to lay down, because it gets those three major points: the sacral area, the hips, the shoulders, the back of the heart, and the back of the head. So it really helps give a rocking sensation to your entire spine, right? And when we can work the entire spine, we're essentially also working the entire body. Notice any changes in your breath. We're looking to have some really nice releasing exhales and inhales that can move in a little bit deeper. Don't stress out if you're not feeling that yet. Eventually it will come. And come all the way to stillness. Let your toes relax. Close your eyes. And notice the sensations of your body. Try not to label a sensation as good or bad, and allow yourself just to simply be. The ego will always label and divide and separate. The wisdom of the body and the soul knows already that everything is all connected, and knows already that the body intelligence is greater than the brain. So the body, just allow it to rest in the space it needs to be. And if and when the brain tries to override, or the ego tries to overanalyze, we do what? We tell the ego what we're doing. And in this case, I am breathing in, and I am breathing out. And just keep telling your ego that. Eventually it'll get bored and shut up and just let you do the work. And start to visualize and start to feel what it's like to be in a regulated state. What does that mean to you? And notice if the mind goes to action or doing, know that that's the ego. We're asking what it looks and feels like from the inside to be regulated. So what does that look like? Does that look like better sleep, improved breathing, increased ability to deal with the stresses of life, a better ability to honor your soul, rest more often, exercise with more conscious intention, live with more conscious awareness? What does a regulated state feel like to you? And it's okay if you don't know the answers. Just start asking yourself this question. Eventually something will come through. And it might be later on today, it might be next week. But just start to really ask yourself that fundamental question. Not what it doesn't look like, not what it doesn't do, not what it doesn't feel like. What does it feel like from the inside? Even if you're not there yet, what do you imagine it to feel like to be regulated in your nervous system and connected to your soul and the wisdom of your soul? Now drag your heels along the ground and bend your knees into your chest. Give yourself a big hug around the legs as the head and shoulders float up. And just breathe here. Slide your hands behind your thighs, outstretch your legs to sit up. And just notice how you're feeling. And that's quite a shake up of our energy with lots of opportunity to learn how to regulate deep within. Now, because we did go deep, you might notice you have some surge of energy moving through you. So I suggest to use this to go outside for a walk, or if you feel like staying inside, do another class, but do a slow flow class or a really, or even a flow class, something to get yourself moving in all kinds of different ways. And remember, take breaks when you need, but do try out getting some other physical activity in that's not super intense. So not going out for a run, not doing Kundalini, not doing something intense, but doing a flow class. So in the beginner to intermediate section of the flow class, or slow flow, not yin, but slow flow, fluid movement, or go for a walk. Of course, if you're feeling drained, then maybe a nap or some yoga nidra is better for you today, but embrace the energy that you have just cleared and the inner space that you have just created. And draw a full breath in, bring some love and gratitude into yourself, and then just let it go. And thank you for our practice today. I'm sending you all so much love, and know that everything you are doing is working. It's all happening. It just takes time.
but you are worthy of the journey. So please stick with it. Thank you, and see you next time, everyone. And of course, let me know if there are questions at all. And yeah, keep on keeping on, building that path toward your inner freedom. Sending you a lot of love, everyone. See you again soon. Bye.